What is going on, everybody? So I am back today to talk about another 2022 release that came out towards the end of the year. And this was crazy because this is from a director I really love a lot. And I heard when this movie was in production, but I wasn't sure when the release date was, and it got dropped directly on Netflix. And I'm really glad I finally got a chance to catch this one. And the movie I'm going to be talking about today is Noah Baumbach's White Noise. White Noise is directed by Noah Baumbach. Jack Gladney, professor of Hitler studies at the College on the Hill, husband to Babette, and father to 4 stepchildren, is torn asunder by a chemical spill from a rail car that releases an airborne toxic event, forcing Jack to confront his biggest fear, his own mortality. So I am a huge fan of Noah Baumbach. As the years go on, I feel like I grow to appreciate his work more and more and more. And even if there's been a Noah Baumbach movie that I haven't been the biggest fan of, I've always appreciated him as a filmmaker for taking risks and doing things that he wants to do. And it's always really impressive to see what type of material he takes on. And normally he has a very specific style that you can feel throughout his film, and whether sometimes it's more overly comedic, like the Meyerowitz stories that has some drama in it but it's more of a comedic tone, or something like Marriage Story that's incredibly dramatic and thought-provoking. It doesn't matter which type of film he's working on, you can always sort of feel that it's a Noah Baumbach movie. And this was the first time I watched a Noah Baumbach movie that I could see hints of him in it, but this was him taking an enormous risk. It's very different than most of his films. It's wildly surreal. It's very strange. It combines a multitude of genres in a way I don't think I've ever seen Noah attempt to tackle this type of material. And I absolutely loved this movie. I know that it's been very polarizing. I know there's a lot of people who really didn't enjoy it, but I thought it was so engaging. I thought all of the performances were incredible, especially Adam Driver, who gives just one of the best performances I've ever seen from him. Absolutely incredible. With what he did in Marriage Story and this, it seems like Noah Baumbach just always knows how to pull the best performance from him. Greta Gerwig is amazing in this. All of their kids that are in it are great. Don Cheadle, when he's in this movie, is fantastic. Andre 3000. There's so many amazing performers that show up in this movie that do a great job, and it is such a weird story. Adam Driver's character is a professor of Hitler studies at this college. The time period is never explicitly stated, but it looks like it's somewhere between the 60s and the 70s, maybe late 70s. I'm not 100% sure, but just from looking at the clothing and the time period and the technology that they have. And so he teaches Hitler studies there. His wife, played by Greta Gerwig, works at these classes where I believe she teaches like yoga or aerobics or something, and they have this huge family, and everything seems super peachy keen at the beginning of the film. And things start to take a turn for the worst when this train accident happens and starts this quote-unquote airborne toxic event, which results in an evacuation and some of the craziest sequences I've ever seen in a Noah Baumbach movie, where things just sort of blow out of control. You have Greta Gerwig's character is taking these prescription pills behind Adam Driver's back, and he's trying to figure out why she's doing this and what the reason for it is. It's just a really fascinating film that I feel like as a whole is really exploring this idea of just culture and society as a whole, of like creating chaos and when people are speculating about something that they have no idea about. I thought that it was so brilliant thinking about the pandemic and when it happened, and like how when we weren't sure of what was going on and there was barely any information brought out by medical professionals, that it was a lot of people just speculating, what's this going to be, what's going to happen, and this mass pandemonium that it's caused. And Baumbach does an amazing job through his dialogue of just sort of conveying what that looks like when something happens that like medical professionals and people haven't come out and stated like, hey, we've figured out what this is, and it's just in endless speculation. It was so cool to see all these little tiny bits of dialogue through different characters and how they were perceiving the situation and what they thought was going to happen. And that's a big part of the film, is just chaos and pandemonium and stress based on these types of things. And I think it's a lot, you could parallel that to the way the media drives society and how the media is constantly trying to stir people up. And a lot of times I feel like the media contributes to making problems seem a lot worse worse than they actually are. Not necessarily in the sense of COVID, but when it comes to like battles with other countries or turmoil in the United States or anything, if you feed into something for long enough, it's going to scare people a lot. And I feel like we're not always given the 100% truthful information, and that sends the country into a spiral a lot of times. And I think the way Baumbach approaches that content in this movie is just brilliant. And then the other heavy subject matter is the idea of death and whether or not you can become comfortable with the fact that you have to die, being scared of dying. And that's a subject matter that I feel like is really difficult to discuss. And Baumbach handles it so brilliantly through the dialogue in this movie, and Adam Driver's character and Greta Gerwig's character both going through moments of being afraid to die and trying to find ways not to be afraid to die, and wanting to leave a legacy or wanting to leave something behind so that it doesn't feel like you're just here one moment and gone the next. And like I said, I feel like all these topics are handled so well. You also have the family dynamic between these parents and their children, which is a smaller facet of what the movie is going for, but I do think that it resonates really heavily by the end of the film. And there's a lot of really goofy, campy humor in this that really worked for me personally, but there's also a lot of really weird, surrealist moments that are very dreamlike. And I loved seeing Baumbach sort of step out of his comfort zone to do something completely different, because I feel like he's dabbled with some weirder things in his career, but it's always mostly straightforward. His films are normally really either dramatic or comedic, and they're very standard narratives, which they're always standard narratives with amazing dialogue and great performances. You can always expect that from Baumbach, but this is really him kind of stepping out of his comfort zone and doing something unique and original, and I loved this one a lot. I think if I were to revisit my top 20 of last year, this would 100% be on my top 20. As to where it would fall, I'm not 100% sure, but it would definitely be on there. I thought that it was brilliant, and I can't wait to watch this again. So have you seen White Noise? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Leave me a comment down below and let me know what you thought. I thought this movie was brilliant. I absolutely loved it. Noah Baumbach continues to be one of my favorite directors, and I will always support and watch anything that he makes. As always, if you can like the video and subscribe to the channel, it helps me out a lot and lets me know the type of content you're looking for. I'm always putting out new material and look forward to getting more out for you in the near future. And as always, everyone, thank you so much for watching, and have a great rest of your day.